Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Wednesday, the 23rd of September. So, what are we talking about today, right? Because this is the weekday. I thought we'd talk about organizing and setting up lists of taking in customers' machines. I want to know what you guys do as well. So, stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, if you didn't already know it. And yes, this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Wednesday, the 23rd of September, 2025. So, what are we talking about today? Well, I've got a friend that he's got a car repair shop, automotive repair shop. And on his desk is a calendar. It's huge. And he's got it down to, every hour and every 2 hours. But what he's doing is he's looking at A, who he has for employees, including himself, that does mechanical work. And then scheduling people in as they call to try to make an appointment to get their vehicle in to have a service done, brakes done, inspection done, you name it. But he knows exactly how long certain things normally take. An average inspection is 15, 20 minutes. I guess. I mean, probably could be longer because you're supposed to take the tires off, check the brakes, all the lights, everything else. And what he did was he he was doing a full service, and that was everything from engines, transmissions, you name it. That puppy was doing it, right? And he finally came to the realization because he's also a car dealer. He goes and buys cars at auctions and then resells them. And when his wife sat down and went through the books, the surprising effect was they were losing money on engines, transmissions, the big jobs. And they were making good money doing service, brakes, rotors, you know, the simpler stuff. Tires, rotations, you name it. Oil changes. So what they ended up doing was they said no more. We're not doing engines and we're not doing transmissions. We are going to strictly stick to the minor stuff. And the minor stuff was where the money was. And it gave him more time to buy cars at car lots, at auctions. And he had one person that he hired just for detailing. And the guy was awesome, is awesome. And would detail the car so it looked just like it came from factory fresh. Even smelled factory fresh. That's how he does it. Now, our shop, we don't get that many calls per se to where I have to have something in front of me defining when could we get it in. The normal answer is when can you drop it off? And if the person works and can't do it until after hours, then all I ask is give me your name, your phone number, what you're bringing, when you're bringing it, and I can tag it when it comes in. Because that's one of the things that if you aren't doing, you need to start. Like Rotary and Stens both sell the wire tags where you can give the customer a tag number part of it and then you retain the bigger tag. I take and I write the customer's name right on the tag and then I attach it to whatever unit came in. Because we've had in the past 5 Cub Cadet 42-inch mowers sitting side by side that you couldn't tell the difference between one or the other. And the only way you could tell a difference is by the tag on it and who it belonged to. I'm serious. So if you're not tagging, you need to tag because it can get crazy at times. You start getting a flush of weed trimmers and leaf blowers and chainsaws. I tag them as they come in. And that way, if there's any question, voila, the tag, here's the name. I already got the name and number written into the book, and we go from there. But we're not doing that much work where people have to call me ahead of time to schedule their units to get repaired. And if you've watched this channel for a while, you know that I do first in, first out. And that means if a customer dropped it off this morning and another customer dropped it off at noon and another customer dropped it off after hours, the one that dropped it off in the morning is first in, then comes the one at noon, and then lastly the one that came after hours. And one of the things that we did by mistake, and I say mistake because you're always in a learning phase, right? If you're not in a learning phase, then you've decided that you know it all, and that's the time you shut down. I'm not that way. There is so much left to learn that I couldn't do it in 100 lifetimes. But anyhow, well, what we ended up doing by mistake, and it wasn't by mistake, it was financial. And that was, we got into the rut of what's the ones that we can get in the quickest and turn and burn to make money for the shop. And a lot of times it was the service work, right? So what we ended up doing was we were rolling in the lawnmowers, and using both bays, and we were both doing service work on the stuff to get it in and get it out so that the shop could get paid. So what started happening that was a problem? Well, what started happening that was a problem was things that had to be repaired got put on the back burner. And that wasn't fair to the shop. It wasn't fair to the customer, because our philosophy of first in, first out failed miserably. We got with this oddball thinking, I call it oddball, that it was more important to have cash flow than it was customers. So if you could learn anything from me, if you're starting a shop or you've been doing work in a shop and stuff like that, is don't get into that rut of looking at what can get the most revenue quickly for the shop. Because even if you scoot them in quick and you get the revenue, then there's going to be a sharp drop, okay? Because what you're looking for is a consistent flow right across the board. And that means if you've got two mechanics, you might be able to get away with having one just do service work and the other one do mechanical work. But the problem starts to develop is if you have three people drop off equipment that needs to have repairs done to it, and you have one person that drops off for a service and you take the service before the mechanical, what ends up happening is you keep pushing back the mechanical until next thing you know, you've got a whole yard of stuff that is in dire need of repair, whether it's welding decks or replacing belts or, flat tires. That's another good one. You pick your poison when it comes to running your own shop. But that's just one of the things to look out for. And if you find yourself looking for just income coming into the shop versus long term, that you should be doing is spreading that money over 12 months instead of a couple months when you're doing service work. But we don't need a big calendar on my desk to jot people in. It's always been people will drop it off after hours and I'll come in and there'll be a message on my phone at the shop saying, "This is Joe Schmo, and I dropped off the weed trimmer by your front door. I dropped off the lawnmower." We get the calls of people wanting us to pick up their units, get down their name, address, and have them leave it outside where we can get at it. But if you don't follow that philosophy of first in, first out, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to backlog the more difficult, challenging work to where now you're going to struggle because you've already pushed through all the service work and put the money into the checking account, right? And now they're going to be a lull because these are bigger jobs. It's going to take a while longer to get them through the system to get paid at the end. You're ordering parts. There's no quick buck. But if you're doing it right, what I call right, and that is first in, first out, if you have a one to have serviced, and then the next one is repairs, and the next one is repairs, and the next one is service, you're going to see kind of a baseline of where it's a steady flow of income instead of all service and then dropping because you're not getting the money back for the mechanical as quickly as you would the service work. I carry a lot of the blades right in stock. What we do is sharpen a lot of blades and kick them out. I carry the oil filters, spark plugs, fuel filters, belts. Most of the time, probably around 93% of the time, I have what is needed in that shop. Belts hanging somewhere, oil filters, fuel filters, you name it, it's there. Because what I've done in the past is if I have to order a belt for a customer for their lawnmower, I'll order 2. And that way I have it on hand. Because if one person needs it, there's a good chance with my other customers, somebody else is going to need it. And that's worked well for me. When you're doing that type of ordering for the shop, and you're ordering one in for repairs and one in for the shop, keep track of what you have for inventory. Because next thing you know, if you try doing that again, you want to make sure that you don't already have that belt on the shelf. And if I take the belt and use it in the shop on a machine, I replace that belt. I put it on order to bring another one in. As fall starts approaching, I start slowing down the orders of carrying that inventory all winter, where we're not going to see anything from it. By the time I get into this time of year, my oil filters are getting low, fuel filters, air filters, belts. I'm toning down the inventory, and I do this purposely every year. Because what I found is a lot of shops will tell you that you can base your sales on what you bought last year. And what I find is that's not the case. Oil filters, fuel filters, air filters, spark plugs, yes. But machines change and they require different belts. And they don't require an 82-inch belt. They require 82 and 7/16. And that 7/16 will kill you. You can't squeeze an 82 on it and you can't put an 83 on it. You got to have the 82 and 7/16. Or you're going to have problems. Either you can't get it on or it's too loose. So I don't like to stock a lot of belts through the winter. Now, once I start heading into spring, which is February, March, then I'll start bringing my inventories up of oil filters, fuel filters, spark plugs, because I know that the season is coming and that I will end up reordering midway through the summer to restock those because we use a lot of them. And I get my oil in the 5-gallon pails. I get the 10W30 fully synthetic. And that way it goes into everything. Let me know in the comments what you do in your shop. I know that if you're the closer to the city populated areas would be more along the lines of my buddy that's the automotive mechanic, where he's got this big calendar and he's jotting in. But for us out here in rural New York, we don't get that volume of customers. And pretty much the customers that we see are returning customers, ones that we've had before, to get serviced or they broke down or what have you. The right answer is whatever works best for you and your shop. Whether you need to have the calendar or a system, but you need to just accept the concept of first in, first out. And tagging is very important so that you don't send somebody home with somebody else's lawnmower rider. So on that note, you guys have a great Wednesday, and we'll catch you here bright and early tomorrow morning for another episode of the weekday. Thanks so much for watching.